toured with a lot of big stars. What is the one thing you've learned from them? I'm sure you've been with Rihanna, you've toured with a lot with Bruno Mars. What things have you learned from them in being in the music industry?
Well, when I was on tour with Rihanna, I saw her stop a fight. There was a fight that was going on, and so she stopped what she was doing, and she said, "Stop." And you know, I learned that I could do that. I could stop and talk to my audience as well, and that's what I learned from her. I also learned from him talking to my audience when I'm on stage, and I take a little bit of everything when I go on tour. I mean, Lady Gaga and Backstreet Boys. I grew up listening to a lot of Backstreet Boys, so I saw the way that they performed on stage, and I take a lot of everything in.
At the same time, because you started very young in the industry in Canada, this is your third album, if I'm not mistaken. So, maturity-wise, how big is the experience in making this album compared when you were doing it when you were a teen, in your early teen days?
What do you mean?
I mean to say, because you started very young recording music. Here in your third album, how different are you? What have you learned in doing the album?
Well, I feel like I'm a lot smarter than I used to be. I'm a lot more confident than I used to be. You know, when I first started in the industry, I didn't know what I was doing. And now I know exactly what I want and exactly what to do and how to get it. And with this album, I mean, all of my first and second singles, a lot of them had positive, strong lyrics, but this album I feel like it's closer to my heart because I did do most of the co-writing as well. So I feel like I am a little more mature in this album as well, and vocally.
I think she's learned a lot between the first, second, and third album. I missed the first part of this press conference, so I don't know how you do that. But I mean, Elise, you did everything.
I spoke a lot of things.
Wow. Elise is a fighter. This album is about fighting and persevering, and she's gone through the good and the bad part of the music business. She had to fight for her career and have the opportunity to do a third album. And I think she was basically stuck on a shelf in a. Okay, so anyways, the long story short, most people would have quit. They would have said enough is enough. It's not fun anymore. But not Elise. Elise is like the female Manny Pacquiao. You know, she fought back and she learned what she was made of. And it comes out vocally, it comes out lyrically, it comes out in Champion, it comes out in Good and Goodbye. When she's in the studio and we're cutting vocals, she's like Manny Pacquiao in the ring. She's in to win, you know? In it to win it. So I can say that's a huge difference. Coming from the producer's side, from the first album to the third album was night and day. I mean, you know, she was a great singer always, but now she's ferocious.
What about in selecting the tracks for the album? Because definitely, I'm sure when you guys were thinking, well, what to put in the album, what were your considerations for the songs back?
Well, again, we just we never plan creativity. And we're also honest with ourselves. We write some songs and we go, you know what? We liked them when we wrote them, but maybe they're not as strong as they should be. So we either rework them or put them on ice for a later date to revisit. But we're perfectionists, so we would rewrite the rewrite.
First, he does that all the time. We'll finish a song, and then he'll decide, wait a minute, I don't want it. Let's do another one. Or let's fix the one that we just finished. Or let's rewrite this lyric. But it's good team.
This album is like 5 months late because I was changing songs.
Yeah.
Even though the record label, whoops, know the record label was happy. I'm sure they have another one. FIFA has another one. Yeah, so we're both perfectionists, and giving birth to an album is giving birth. It's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. So we take a lot of pride in it.
Elise, you have a very awesome voice. Have you had any formal voice lessons when you were young?
I did. I had lessons from Filipina.
Tita Salve.
Her name's Tita Salve. She'd be so happy if she knew I said that right now.
But that was in the US or in Canada?
In Canada.
In Canada.
Yes. And also my mother. My mother was a singer, so like I said, she's a stage mom, like I mentioned earlier, so she was always teaching me as well.